Welcome back. It's still News Up, and thank you for staying tuned. Joining us to discuss some of these topics that we'll be looking at today, we talked about the New Year resolution, we're talking about the President's New Year message, and the federal government ASUU face-off. They are meeting today, and to throw more light on these topics, we have Omoshola Deji, Public Affairs Analyst. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And Happy New Year to you.
And Happy New Year. You know, she will never forget to say that. Okay, and in our Abuja studio, we have Shola Ojo. I think there's
Jide Ojo, really.
Oh, sorry, Jide Ojo. I don't know why Omoshola is coming into my head. Okay, we understand that he's yet to get seated in our Abuja studio. In the meantime, let's talk to Omoshola here in Lagos. Looking at the concept of New Year resolution, barring the fact that, oh, it's a Western culture, but from time to time, some of us have imbibed it. Well, let me start by saying, what's your New Year resolution? Because Zika asked me this morning, and I was just thinking. But I told her before, and the next question is, have you started, implementing it? I realized that I've started a bit, but I need to be more committed. So, what's yours?
Well, my New Year resolution is just to be a better person in everything I do.
That means you're a good person.
Well,
yes, please be proud of who you are. Yes,
well,
you're not sure you're a good person.
No, well, I'm not bad, but no one is perfect.
Yeah.
We all try to work our way towards perfection, and I don't think there's anybody that will attain that stage of perfection till he or she dies. Life. So we always try to be a better person every day. So that's my New Year resolution.
Great. All right, so let's talk about New Year resolutions. Like he said, we imbibed it from maybe the Western culture. And a lot of times we make these resolutions the beginning of the year. And before the end of the first month, we just renege on all these things we say we're not going to do. For example, if I used to smoke in 2018, I say I will stop smoking in 2019. And all of a sudden, maybe second week in January, I see myself going back to smoking or drinking or taking a lot of soda that I've already said I wouldn't take anymore. What is the importance of this resolution, if you think it's even important?
No, resolution is quite very important, but it shouldn't be a yearly thing. People are not committed to their resolutions because they are making that resolution because it comes with the season, not out of personal commitment. So if you make a resolution because it comes with a particular season where everybody is making resolution, you just want to join the crowd, you just want to have a feeling of the season. But regardless of the time of the year, if the resolution comes based on personal commitment and determination, I think one is able to achieve more. So resolution is so very important for each and every one of us to be a better person, but I don't think it should have a particular season or time of the year. Once you see that something is not right or you need to adjust something, just put forward a resolution on it and be determined to achieve it, I think.
Okay, we will play some series of reports that some of our reporters did to hear people on what they said. But before then, so that you do more justice to this topic, probably we should avoid the word New Year resolution. Talking about setting goals, you recall that virtually all the states tried to submit their budget for 2019. A lot of people have plans. They have what they set to achieve in this year. So what are the things that people should look at? Coming back to that word again, resolution. Resolution means you're resolved to, achieving something before a particular time. So what are the things we should watch out for in setting goals?
Yeah. One of the things we should watch out for in setting goals is our capacity and ability to achieve them. We don't have to set too much of high goals, and I think that's common both for government, the citizen, almost every sector, captains of industries. Most of us set goals that are quite not achievable. So we need to set goals that we know that we can achieve. Even government too, while presenting the budget and everything, we set goals that we know, okay, we can achieve, and we have the right plan, methodology for achieving those goals, realistic goals. Now, if everybody has a blank opportunity to set goals. Of course, we always set big, mighty, fantastic goals, but then how do we achieve them? In the home, for example, if you are setting your goal in the home, you need to look at your pocket. You don't need to look at your neighbor's lifestyle. You don't need to look at some other things around you. You need to look at your pocket. How do you want to survive? How can you really survive? Then don't put much pressure on yourself because it's New Year. Because our society is a society of, you gain more respect depending on how high your status is. But then you can still do a lot more with contentment. So not putting yourself in debt. And if you have put yourself in debt because of Christmas or New Year, here we are. Christmas and New Year is
gone.
Yeah.
All right. Some Nigerians could say that one of the New Year resolutions for Mr. President going to his New Year speech is to ensure free, fair, and credible elections. And then on yesterday, it was announced that Amina Zakari, would now be the head of the coalition centers. And from the pages of national dailies today, we see that there is an outburst, especially from the opposition parties, saying that Buhari's niece shouldn't head such a very significant position. For the president to say that he's going to ensure free, fair, and credible elections, do you think that making his niece, to head the coalition or the coalition centers, do you think it's a way? Do you think is a smart New Year resolution?
It's something that could have been avoided. I don't think it's a good choice for the chairman of INEC to have made such decision, because we are in volatile election periods now, and if you appoint the president needs to head the coalition center, definitely you would expect people to protest against it. Then apart from that, one major aspect that I tend to have a little bit of issue with is the whole architecture of those conducting the election itself. We have two northern candidates from the north, and also virtually almost all the people in charge of conducting the election are also from the north. The head of police, head of army, head of INEC, all these people are from the north. So we are having a national election conducted by regional men. A national election should be conducted by people with a national outlook. This is not a regional election. So if you are going into a presidential election, you should have that national coloration by people that are conducting it, not the regional kind of thing we have now. Election is going to hold in all the regions of the country for the presidential election, but the two major contestants are northerners. Those conducting the elections, INEC, police leading the security, are also northerner. I don't think this
is just thrown up a very sensitive angle to this story. We'll come back to that, but let's take a listen to what some people said about their New Year resolution. Then we'll dovetail into what the president said about credible, free and fair, not to do or die electoral process. Let's look at what this man said on New Year Day.
I want to be of God, more of God in my life. I want to follow the path of God. 2018 was actually very, very impressive, and the mercy of God was on me.
I just want to make more money, that's all. Yes.
I just want to be related to God for 2019 and ask for more wisdom and knowledge.
Have you made your New Year resolution, sir?
Yes.
What is it, sir?
To be a better father to my children, a better husband to my wife, and a better Nigerian.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Have you made your New Year resolution, sir? Or do you have a vision board?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm working on it.
Have you made your New Year resolution?
Yes.
What is it?
My New Year's resolution is to do better in school and also to make more friends in 2019 to aid my back.
Good evening, sir. Have you made your new resolution, sir?
No, sorry, sir.
Have you made a new resolution, man?
Not yet.
Not yet. What are you waiting for?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Have you guys made your New Year resolutions?
No resolutions. We don't need a new year to change our ways, so no need for any resolutions now.
Do you have a vision board?
A vision board, yeah, we have goals, just short-term goals that you would like to achieve next year. You know, make more money, you know, serve God better, and just live a better life totally.
Wow, I love that. I love that. I think that guy supports your point that we don't have to wait for a particular season before we take our decision. But we won't shy away from that custom. The custom, if people don't know how to create their own season, let the season also inform them on how to plan their life. So, having said that, we're not looking at the president's commitment. And that's, like she said, I think that's the perspective I want us to look at it. It's like a New Year resolution. For some people, they see it as a departure from the person of Buhari. They've always seen him as a violent person. But he has said that I'm committed to, you know, it's not going to be a do or die process. And from time to time, we've been saying it, that the political gladiators have a key role to play in ensuring that we have a peaceful poll. So don't you think that's very symbolic for the president to start the new year to say, in 46 days' time, the election that is coming up is going to be violence-free or violence-free?
Yeah, it's a very good move, but I won't accept that it is symbolic. What will be symbolic for me is if the president can take the bold step, any one of his supporters, major supporters involved in corruption should be tried in court. Any of his supporters engaging in violence, you know, should be prosecuted. That would be very symbolic for me. But it is normal for the president to say we'll guarantee free, fair, and credible election. But then, what are the actions that we are seeing now? For example, the somewhat nepotistic appointment of his niece, you know, that contradicts the tenet of guaranteeing a free, fair, and credible election.
Amina Zakari is his niece. Is there a proof? Did someone do a DNA test, or do people know the family history of Amina Zakari and the Buhari family?
No, I also read on it a few years ago. There's these family ties between both of them, and the president has not denied that. His aides has not denied that.
But that does not mean
the woman too has not denied that. There's this family ties between them. I really can't recollect now, but I've once read on it like maybe a year or two ago while reading a piece. Then there's this connection between them.
All right.
Because my worry is it a crime that even if I am related to you and I'm climbing the ladder of success, and because somebody is somewhere, then you deny me? I'm talking about some of those appointments you talked about. Some people would disagree with you that it's about the process. The Mahmoud Yakub, he didn't become INEC chairman because two presidential candidates were going to emerge from APC and PDP. Then the security chiefs, that has been debatable over time. And so people would say that it's even better so that they won't say, oh, Atiku is strong in the south, then if you give the INEC position, because this has to do with the process, not a matter of where you come from.
Well, it's not a bad thing. It's just the kind of society we are in. In this, our society whereby we still have this traditional society where actions are somewhat dictated by ethnic and religious beliefs. We are still in that kind of sensitive age. Then we have grown in terms of political exposure, not political development. That's one major problem. Before, you see whereby they beg people to come and contest for election, for governorship. Now, people want to kill themselves to become a councillor. Political exposure, we've grown. But then if you look at our political development, how far have we gone? We've not experienced so much development. So if the political exposure supersedes the political development, you have a society of distrust, suspicion, and so much volatility. So in that kind of society, if you are to appoint, most especially the ethnic sensitivity of a plural nation like Nigeria, if you are to appoint, you need to be careful that you appeal to the crucial sentiments of the Nigerian people. That's why Nigeria is a nation comprising of so many ethnic groups. Now, it's not a crime to be in an organization, then you rise to the top. It's not a bad thing at all, but sometimes you also need to be careful the way you make this appointment. I don't believe that in a nation of 180 million people, an organization like INEC, top officials there, you can also pick any other person to head that particular committee on collation of result. Naturally, even those in INEC, they are human beings. They will naturally have their own electoral preference. That's human being for you. They will naturally have their own preferred.
But they can rise above board and be objective.
They can rise above and be objective, but then humans will always be humans. So for me, I think the chairman of INEC played into the hands of the opposition, which he could have just avoided by finding any other person in the top echelon of INEC because naturally, if somebody is related to you and the person is in charge of the collation of your result that you will be announced as president, definitely when things are not going too well, there might be some 1 or 2 levels of compromise, and
so that brings
that
me
is
to the
why
question. Now, how independent is INEC?
INEC, based on the letters of the organization, is independent, but from the operations, we can't really say INEC is so very independent, because we once had an election in this country whereby the police came forward and said, we are not ready, and whether INEC likes it or not, they have to postpone the election. So the police was used at that time to tamper with the independence of INEC. So now, if you deny INEC funds, the politicians that INEC is going to conduct elections for are still the one to approve their funds for them. The president, any incumbent president, once the tenure of an INEC chairman ends, it is still that president that will still appoint an INEC chairman to organize an election he himself will be participating in. So that alone, there's one thing we call loyalty of appointment. When somebody appoints you in a country of 180 million people, you are naturally, it's nature, you are naturally, owe that person this depth of gratitude and obedience and allegiance. So now, look at the police, for example. Now, the conduct of the Nigerian police since the appointment of the present IG has been very political. So political that the police has a reason to compromise in this election. Why do I say so? If you are to supervise the conduct of an election and you have been very political, you know that should any other person other than the person that appoints you should win, you know you can never remain in that office. Never. And you naturally want to keep your position, most especially if you are heading such a very crucial institution. So that alone undermines the efficiency of the police. And in a society like us, in a society of ours, whereby we have this top-down approach, whereby it's a regimental organization and you just have to obey command as instructed. So once the head has a little bit of feeling, sentiment, compromise, then what you would expect is the person will just have to appoint favorable people into the 36 states of the federation,
right,
and those one will give the order. So it's like a top-down something.
Let's come back to the topic. Let's not deviate so far from the New Year's resolutions and the President's New Year message. Now, apart from the President's commitment to free and fair polls, he also allayed fears of violence, given the fact that a large number of presidential candidates signed or were committed to peace after signing that peace accord. Now, do you think that the signing of the peace accord is pact binding, is a way to go? It's going to ensure that the elections are free and fair?
No, having a free and fair election depends on largely on the mindset of the candidate. If all of us here now are to compete in a race, definitely all of us cannot come first. You must have somebody in the first position, second position. So apart from the peace pact, what really matters is the personal commitment to accept defeat, personal commitment to a credible electoral process. The peace pact is just like just to show the world that, okay, we are putting things in process, and just should I say word of mouth that we are committed to the electoral process. But in a kind of society like ours, whereby election most times, you know, is either a do or die, because we have this winner take it all politics. So since we have that kind of politicking in our system, and also the cost of conducting elections, if you look at all these indices, it's so very difficult sometimes for candidates to accept the result of elections. So what matters, especially when they lose.
But Omoshola, before we open the line so that our viewers can be part of this discussion, let's look at the topic. A good number of students are at home, and I just saw it somewhere. That's the story I was looking for, that the president is planning to meet the students. And a lot of people are saying that as it turned to, you know, blackmail, as it turned to some form of, like the ASUU executive said yesterday when they were here, that it's been more of cheap blackmail from the side of the government. What do you foresee? They are meeting today. Federal government is meeting ASUU today. What do you foresee? Do you see an end to the lingering strike?
If the federal government is able to meet few of their demands, there's no way the federal government can meet all their demands right now. But if the federal government is able to meet a few of it, ASUU too might, you know, suspend the strike. But I don't see.
So which one do you consider critical that the federal government should meet?
Well, the federal government has to meet with the ASUU, because the students are subjected to the decisions of ASUU. So it's ASUU that will tell his members, go and resume. That's when students can have lectures, have their exams. But if
Sorry,
ASUU
when I mean meet, I mean the conditions now. You said few of their demands. There is a demand that, oh, their arrears should be paid in terms of allowances. There is a demand that these facilities should be upgraded. There is, you know, quite about 7 of them, you know, been reduced to 7. So which one do you think, because as I said that we are all part of these stakeholders, so it's not just the federal government. So if you were to say that, oh, ASUU, these all demands are not realistic for federal government to meet, which one would you advise them to accept?
I think the most important one out of it is the salaries and allowances, because that is the primary drive of motivation. The people that are lecturing these students, they have their own needs too. And once the primary needs are not met, the motivation is zero. And this itself is what will trigger corruption in the education sector, whereby illegal sale of handouts, collection of bribes from the student and all that. So, but if their salaries are paid as and when due, I think that is the major, that should be the major priority of government, clearing the salaries and allowances. Then, after that is the funding of infrastructure. Our educational system today lacks the basic. Now, how do you, if you are not conversant with the educational system, how do you know that what the ASUU is actually going through? When you take a look at our roads, how our roads are, when you take a look at our healthcare system, how the healthcare system is, when you take a look at the electricity, how it is, that is exactly how the educational sector too is. So if government can address the infrastructural decay in the educational sector, then it should go a long way in improving our educational system and the quality of graduate. University serves three major purposes. One, teaching. If you are associated with the university system, you fall under this three: teaching, learning, and conducting research. Now, teaching, if you are not motivated, if the infrastructures are not available, there's no way you can put in your best. Now, learning, if the person that wants to teach you is not even up to date with the current debate in that particular field, how will he teach you the right thing? And that also links to research. Universities all over the world are solution grounds to their countries. That's why they conduct research. Countries, developed countries across the world, embark huge amount of funds for the conduct of research. Once there is any problem in society, whether in science, technology, social, political, the first step is to conduct credible research. But what is the credibility of research that is being conducted in our universities? Now, what are the findings? How has government been utilizing the findings in this university? Now, how do you conduct research in an environment where there is unstable electricity? How do you conduct credible research in an academic environment where your work can be tested for plagiarism? How do you conduct credible research when you don't have access to the current works in the field where you are conducting the research?
Very important, questions you are raising there. I'm hoping that the federal government is actually listening to these things so that we can match up with our counterparts in other countries of the world. Well, we've been joined by Jide Ojo in our Abuja studio. Jide Ojo is also a public affairs analyst. We sincerely apologize. We apologize to you, Jide, for keeping you due to some technical hitches we experienced earlier. But thankfully, you're here now with us. Now, let's continue on the line of ASUU versus the federal government face-off. Now, ASUU has said that this strike is of national interest. I want to know if you share in their line of argument or thought.
I do. Happy New Year, colleagues over there. I do share in the sentiments of ASUU that the strike is for national development. Recall that the crisis that led to the current face-off actually started 10 years ago, 2009. It's unheard of that you have a lingering issue for a decade and you refuse to solve that problem. It's so disheartening that we have academic institutions that are not or no longer at par with their counterparts in other African countries and globally. I went to public school all my life, but I cannot allow my children to go to public school today because of the very deplorable situation our public institutions, academic institutions have become. In my days at Unilag and at University of Ibadan, we were complaining bitterly that things were bad, but it's gone from bad to worse. So much so that the infrastructures are overstretched. The institutions are no longer attracting foreign students. In my class at University of Ibadan, we used to have Nigerian, Malian, Chadian, in our class. But today, we are the one going to those countries. We are the one going to Ghana to study. We are the one going to Benin Republic to study. And it's not everybody that has the foreign exchange to send their children outside of the shores of this country. Private universities does not come cheap. Some of us that have to take the risk of sending wards and children to private institutions, academic institutions, have to pay through our nose. Sometimes we pay in installments. Not because we can afford it, but because we want our children to be at par with their colleagues globally. Because the academic environment has become a highly competitive.
We sincerely apologize for that, Jide Ojo, and to all our viewers. We hope to get back to Jide Ojo to have his landing statement on that particular question. Okay, I understand Jide Ojo is back. Jide, can you just submit on that response you've given to us?
So, like I said, I agree with ASUU that things, they are fighting a national cause. And it's for government to listen to hearken and heed their cry, their clarion call for us to develop our academic institutions. No matter the number of private universities you have, you cannot have students in those private universities outnumbering students in public institutions. There are universities today who have lost a session, and we are on the verge of losing another session.
All right, we apologize for that again. Okay, let's talk to you, Omoshola. Now, do you agree with ASUU that is of national interest that this strike must hold?
Well, to me, it's of national interest.
Sorry, did you attend a government institution?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, state or federal?
State.
Okay, great. So you know what, ASUU's grievances are.
And he has now gone beyond here. He doesn't want to condone our system again.
All right, please go ahead. How is it of national interest? We want to know
Well,
that.
it's of national interest because if the lecturers are paid, they'll be motivated to work. When they are motivated to work and there's funds for research, we will have credible solutions. So the university system is a place where you shape minds. I think government needs to be careful about how we handle the educational system in this country. The university system is very important. The age where students get matriculated into the university is the age where their mind is in the formative stage, which is very, very crucial. So anything that can make the system work, that can make them get the right knowledge, that can make them be the better person, that can make them graduate and be employable, is welcome. Is in the, yes, for the national interest. It is not an immediate interest. If for the government, they want the people to keep working, working.
Without getting the allowances.
Yes,
because
the strike
it's
is
not the salaries they are owing them, it's those allowances that they are yet to agree on. But let's allow our viewers to be part of this discussion so that we can take their calls, take their comments. But please, you see the way our guests have been reacting. Be very civil. Do not throw up anything that can cause ethnic tension. It is not allowed on national TV. So we'll be very, very polite to cut you off if you go into that area. So the lines are on the screen. You can call those lines and let's have your take on these three comments that we have. We understand Jide is back. Jide, please, let's quickly get your take on the first two topics we've discussed earlier on. Let's start with the president comment saying that this year's election is committed to no do or die process. What's your take about the president's comment?
Well, I share the president's position, and I actually quoted a part of that statement in my column in The Punch on Wednesday, where he actually said, yes, elections should not be a do or die affair. But like I said in my commentary in an opinion titled Towards a Credible 2019 Elections, published by The Punch newspaper on Wednesday, I did say that I wish the president were not a candidate in this election. It will have sounded more believable, because whether he likes it or not, whether he gave the marching order or not, there is that tendency for some of the security agencies to overreach themselves and to be overzealous. He also needs to be very careful. We are already eating up the tension by wanting to retain the IG, even though his tenure as I've been made to realize, I think they said yesterday was supposed to be his last day in office. You shouldn't, I think there are capable ones that could be appointed in an acting capacity pending the time that everything will be sorted out. So because you already have a scenario where there are apparent disenchantment with the way and manner in which police officers have carried out their professional conduct in an election. Okay. And that doesn't inspire confidence. We also have seen overzealousness on the part of DSS.
Caller for the year on the News Hub. Okay, we lost that call. Do we have Paul on the line? Okay, Jide, please continue.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, good morning.
Like I said, I wish you were not a candidate in this election. It will have sounded more believable.
Yes, Paul, can we have you?
It may, I share the sentiment.
Sorry, Jide, we'll come back to you soon. Let me just take
we shouldn't make election do or die. But again, politicians will always want to adopt a Machiavellian principle of the end justifies the means. Because like Professor Klodake said decades ago, may his soul rest in peace, he said we run democracy without Democrats. And that's why today you have desperate politicians who will engage in vote buying, desperate politicians who harm the youth to cause violence. Already, as I cited in my opinion on Wednesday, in Ekiti State, we've recorded some deaths, politically motivated in my own opinion. The Honorable Bumi Ojo that was murdered in August last year alongside two other people. And just on the eve of New Year, on December 28th, a councillor was also murdered in the presence of his wife on his way back from a party. So you need to have a situation where we will not be losing lives as a result of election. It's so disheartening that people will die in the course of offering themselves for service. So we don't want to count death arising from electoral violence. So I believe that politicians need to temper their campaigns. Already we are seeing a lot of mudslinging, a lot of incendiary comments, a lot of hate speeches, a lot of fake news being peddled, all in the name of campaigns. This is not tolerable. Section 95, subsection 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Electoral Act has actually criminalized hate speech and abusive languages. I hope the police and the other security agencies will be alive to their responsibilities to ensure full implementation of that Section 95 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended in 2015. Because, like I said earlier, that we can't have a credible election that is violent reading. You cannot in one breath say that the election was credible, but in another breath it was so violent. It's like saying that the operation was successful, but the patient died. How can the operation be successful when the patient died? You cannot have the two going together. So I appeal to politicians to please
let me pause you a bit, and let's take this first caller. And from time to time, we're pausing you as you respond while our guests call into the program. We need to hear from them as well. Good morning, Paul. Please go ahead now.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
Yeah. I actually want to talk about the ASUU and the appointment of the INEC. Yeah, and I want to let Nigeria
Paul, our topic of discussion this morning is ASUU versus federal government face-off, as well as New Year resolutions and the President's New Year message. Please limit your answers or your responses to these three questions.
I just want to talk about ASUU. I believe that our institutions, universities, for a long time, our lecturers have lost focus. Hello?
We can hear you, Paul. Please go ahead.
Our lecturers have lost focus because university also is a place of investment. There is no Nigerian university today they can be able to satisfy them with even pure water, bread they bought it from outside. How come that up to now Nigerian university cannot convert their life to success, even up to today? So everything federal government, everything federal government, anytime we want to do election, they will go on strike. They can do that even before the election. So it looks suspicious. That is how I look at it. And they are contributing to the problem we're having in this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul, for that comment. And please, when you call into the program, kindly do well to turn down the volume of your TV set so that we can have a smooth transmission, if you like to say that. We have another caller. Festus is calling in from Rivers State. Festus, you connected. Please make your comments. Festus from Lagos, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Festus.
I want to comment on the issue of ASUU with the federal government. I want to believe that the ASUU are looking forward for the better Nigeria, and I think the federal government have a duty to make sure that Nigeria, they promise us, is what we are going to have. You see, the truth remains that I don't see why students will keep off from the school for about 2 months now, and nobody is interested to do something about it. I believe that if the labor is the one that's on that process of his right by now, something could have done. I had the president yesterday or thereabout telling the labor to please, I don't want to strike us, because we knew that if the labor go ahead for their strike, it will break down the system of government and nobody will feel okay by that. It's because the ASUU is silent, and that's why nobody is interested on that. You see, look at the children that are going to school. What are we thinking about them? Every one of them are at home now, committing all sorts of crimes and to make sure they live. Are you going to blame them on that? So please, I want the government to look into their case and see what they can do to bring them back to the system, to the school. And I believe that on that, I think Nigeria will march forward.
Okay. Thank you. We have another caller from Rivers State. Can we have your comment quickly? Yeah, let's take that call from Rivers State. You're on now. Go ahead and make your comment. Okay, we lost that call. Let's quickly get your reaction. Let's start from Lagos. What do you think? This guy disagrees with both of you that there's this kind of suspicion. I mean, they first us from Lagos State, right?
From Lagos.
He said that there's more suspicion than we think.
Well, ASUU strike is a failure of successive Nigerian government. We must clarify that it's an inherited problem of the Buhari administration, but then that is what government is about.
So let me pause you. We have a caller from Rivers State. Wari Boko is calling in from Rivers State. Wari, please go ahead with your questions or comments. Hello?
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, please. Go ahead, Wari Boko.
All right. I want to react on the issue of ASUU versus the federal government the face of. Yes, over time in Nigeria, we have always had this whole thing that the government always need to make sacrifices and all of that. And over time also, we have been able to carry some sort of agreement that we have with different administrations, to bring them into economy. I understand that as a country, government is a continuum. But everybody in this country owes the responsibility of making sacrifices. And if, with the way things are today, there is an agreement that they had in 2013, I think in 2013, while the former President Buhari was the president, and this whole thing has lingered. And I believe yesterday, I also listened to this program. I was watching, and I think two of the lecturers, the one from Lagos and the one from Port Harcourt, that was on the TV, also said that the agreement that was entered at the time, that the federal government under Jonathan only honored one tranche of about 200 billion. Now, it is also, by yesterday also, it is also in the news that the federal government released about 15-point-something billion naira. But then my issue is this. As a country, must we always talk about strikes?
Wari Boko, can you make it, can you try and summarize your view so that we can allow other callers to make their contribution?
All right, let me summarize.
Okay.
I'm saying that in this country, everybody is supposed to make sacrifices.
Okay.
We should not always see that it's only the government at the center that has the ability to make sacrifices.
Your point is noted.
Also must make the sacrifices. Students also must make the sacrifices.
Thank you, Wari Boko. Let's quickly take Esther from Kaduna. Esther, can you please go ahead with your... Okay, Wari Boko, Esther will sue you for keeping her waiting and she's not able to get through to us. But Esther, please keep trying. Let's have your take on that issue you want to talk about. You want to say something?
Go ahead with your responses, or should I?
Okay, the strike is an inherited problem by the Buhari administration, but then that's what government is about.
Continue.
You inherit both the good and bad. But I think the reason why most times the unions go on strike during election period is because that is the only time people in government listens
to the electorate.
Yes, that's the only time that they know they can really get what they want. Look at the issue of minimum wage, ASUU strike, so many other issues at time, because these unions know that this is the right time we can go on strike and get some of our demands met. If after the election, maybe we won't get anybody to attend to us again.
All right, let's
We've had
ASUU
strike for so many months.
No vex. All right, Henry's calling in from Rivers State. Henry, please go ahead.
Hello?
Henry, we can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Yes, I want to quickly talk on the ASUU and the federal government. Yes, you can bear with me that there is no any society that has ever developed technologically outside education. And on that ground, I want to say that federal government should try their best to make sure that they comply to their agreement. So that, and at the same time, they should also monitor how the lecturers make maximum use of the resources allocated to them. That is my own opinion.
Beautiful. Very short and straight to the point. Let's quickly have Edwin from also in Rivers State. Edwin, go ahead. Edwin, you're on. Let's have your take.
My concern actually is we want Mr. President I need to just try and do something about this ASUU issue. We have seen the challenges in our education today, and we are still allowing, giving gap students to be involving into unnecessary things. Because once they are not in school, once they are out of school, certainly they must be somewhere. Now, what I'm saying in essence is that every year we have a president that will become the Minister of Petroleum. Why can't we have a president for one that will become Minister for Education? You will see that this whole issue will stop, honestly. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Edwin. We have another caller, Omoni. Please go ahead, Omoni.
Yeah, I just like a word of advice
All right.
for both ASUU and federal government. Because at the end of the day, the journey of 5 days will become the journey of 8 days for the students. Because all of us cannot put our children in a private university. I want ASUU and federal government to agree on one thing. Let them call off this strike for the sake of these children.
Beautiful.
Because at the end of, our people used to make a parable that if two elephants fight, the grasses suffer.
Okay.
The people that will suffer it, these people
Well
that will
taken.
suffer it,
Well
the
taken,
children.
Omoni.
Please,
Well
I'm
taken.
appealing to them. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you so
advice.
much.
Let's quickly have another caller from Rivers. Emeka from Rivers State. Emeka, go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on. Please make your comments.
Okay, in respect to ASUU. Hello?
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm saying in respect to ASUU, the federal government should give them their license, so that the students will go back to school. I said the federal government. Hello? The federal
Yes,
government
we
should
can
give
hear
them
you.
their license. They are requesting for their license. After paying over 200 billion to the federal government in 2016, the federal government should be able to give the lecturers their license, the PENCON license, so that they will call up the strike.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
I don't know about the license that he's talking about, but basically I think the point is clear.
All right, let's talk to Jide so that Jide doesn't feel left alone in Abuja. All right, Jide, you have said that you've agreed with ASUU that the strike is of national interest. But let me bring to you that, like our last caller said, where two elephants fight, the grass suffers. Now, if a student is supposed to spend like 4 years in school, and then we have this strike that happens over and over again, and then ends up spending 5 years. And then he gets or she gets to the labor market, and they tell her that if she's not 22 years, she can't be employed. So how is it that, because another caller also said we should sacrifice, everyone should sacrifice. How much sacrifice should a student give? We all were students at some point in time. Perhaps we all spent more than the required number of years in university or higher institution. So tell me, how much sacrifices should students keep taking because ASUU has to go on strike because the strike is of national interest?
There isn't a sacrifice that's too much to do the right thing. It's the fact that government have not shown sufficient sincerity in honoring agreements signed with the academic staff union of universities that has made them to down tools. If you say, okay, let them go back to work and let them continue to churn out unemployable graduates, who loses at the end of the day? Because you are saying, overlook the overstretched infrastructures, the fact that there are no hostels, the classrooms are overstretched, the facilities are overstretched, there are no development in the tertiary institutions. And because I think many of the callers are narrowing everything down to earned allowances of the lecturers. It goes beyond the earned allowances. It goes beyond that. Even if they get all the earned allowances, it's only the lecturers that will benefit. But there is a larger and wider issue of developing the infrastructure, both hard and soft infrastructure of the universities. I went to University of Lagos. You know, there was this former Minister of Works then under the Abacha administration, late General Abdul Karim Adisa. When he came to our school, one of the during that period, there was flooding. He was shocked. He understood why there was student unrest on campuses, because we were, as at then, there is no room in University of Lagos hostels that is not overstretched. You have a place that is supposed to take 3-4 students. I mean, 3 rooms. It's supposed to be 3 in a room. But you have floaters, you have squatters, you have about, at the end of the day, you have about 8-10 people squeezing themselves into a room. And you go to the classrooms, the lecture theaters, many of the times there are no lights. You can't have the evening lectures. The facilities are overstretched. You have increased the admission quota, but the infrastructures to take on this expansion has not been fixed. So there is a wider problem. Don't forget that there have been need assessment committee that has been set up by previous administrations. I've commented on this in time past in my column in The Punch. The issue of ASUU goes beyond earned allowance. People should not just single that out and make it look like, oh, lecturers are criminals and they don't have the they don't have the best interest of their students. If you all appeal to them and they go back to school and they are not giving the best to the students that they are training, a mechanical engineer cannot fix anything mechanical. An electrical engineer cannot be called in to fix anything electrical. Then what is the whole essence of the certificates that you have been issued at the end of the day?
Thank you, Jide. We'll come back to you. And let me quickly get your take before we go back to lines. He has just made a very, very serious comment, which can be attributed to our population again. Now, some have said there was a time, I think in the House of Reps, they approved or they moved a motion that we should have additional institutions. And some people kicked against it, that, oh, we are having unemployable graduates and you're talking of more facilities. How do you expect government to untangle this puzzle? This puzzle of we are having increased population and the current institutions are not enough. What do you think government should do?
It's for government to invest more in the educational sector, because who is losing at the end of the day? On the long run, if you look at it carefully, it's still the government. Because if the students cannot acquire the right knowledge, they won't get the right job or employment. Then at the end of the day, when they can't get the right employment, these youth will now invest their intellectualism into crime. So at the, later, when they invest their intellectualism into crime, you now see the same government that is reluctant to invest in the educational sector, spending billions of dollars to tackle insecurity. This insecurity could have been tackled earlier on if there had been enough investment in the educational sector and different crucial sectors of the society, like the resources. Most Nigerians have no reason to be unemployed if all the resources in Nigeria are well harnessed and utilized. If states are utilizing their resources and in control of it, definitely this will create more jobs. Then, talking about the legislature on education, I think a motion should be passed that there should be no disparity between the charges of school fees. We have a situation whereby we charge indigent and non-indigent. That is an archaic system. We should have a situation whereby we charge
you think it's okay
local
because
students.
Even in international
We should
schools,
start-
there is international students and there
What
is
they charge is local student and international student. But in our university system, if you go to Olabisi Onabanjo University, for example, in Ogun State, there is indigent fees if you are from Ogun State. Then probably if you are from Lagos, your fee is more higher Because why? You are not from Ogun State. Is it a crime for you to move from Lagos and attend a school in Ogun State? The most important thing in this modern day of ours is the fact that you are a Nigerian.
But you know, standardly, even from secondary level, there is catchment area. If you're going to any school outside your state of origin, you know, they will tell you if it's not your catchment area, you need to pay more or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. It is absolutely wrong. We should have a system whereby regardless of the state you are from is irrelevant. You can gain admission as long as you are qualified. Then every Nigerian is paying the same fees. If our educational system is so developed that we now have international students, we should have fees for local students which are Nigerians, then fees for international students, not you are from Ogun State, you are from Lagos State, then you have to pay different.
Your point is very clear. Let's just quickly get a final comment. Jide, it's obvious that Nigerians are more interested in what is happening to the educational sector. Nobody is talking about the statement on the election. And that drives home a point that education is very, very critical. What's your parting word for all the stakeholders? Please, you have just 60 seconds to do that.
Thank you very much. But what they are missing is that election is more crucial than the issue of education, because the new set of leaders that will be elected on February 16th and March 2nd are the ones that are going to implement whatever policies that are being put in place. Nigerians are missing it. We need eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. We need to watch how this election plays out. We cannot continue to have bad leaders in government. People who deceive to get into office only for them to turn and become tyrant. And I'm not talking about this administration. We cannot continue to have politicians campaigning to us in prose and delivering in poetry. It is not right. And we must ensure that we have peaceful election come February 16 and March. We must shun vote buying. We must ensure that we come out en masse to vote. We must go out to collect our PVCs if we have not done so. And for the education, I pray that the issue is resolved, because as it were now, ASUU is needed back on campus for them to be used as ad hoc staff to conduct the election. So you can see that the two are intertwined. If you don't resolve ASUU issue, we may not have sufficient manpower to even conduct the election. So the two has to be resolved. Thank you.
Great way to end the discussion with you, Jide Ojo. Thank you so much. And one thing I'm taking away from all you said is that we can't claim to have a successful surgery, but we lost the patient. Thank you so much, Jide Ojo, for your time with us on the program. And to get your parting words, Omoshola Deji, from what the president said, his New Year resolution is that, how I would put it, is to ensure free, fair, and credible elections, knowing that it's not a do or die affair. I'm hoping that other stakeholders, like how they put it, share the same view with the president. But what else should we expect from our governors, from our senators, from our leaders in every sphere?
What we expect from them is to lead by example and to deliver on their promises. Nigerians, fortunately, are people that don't ask for much. We are still in a situation in our country whereby we campaign with roads, I'll pay salary, I'll provide electricity, when other nations are running technological race, competing with themselves. So we shouldn't make empty promises. People in government should make promises, reasonable promises that they can deliver on. Then we should be committed to the growth and development of the masses, not just the political class. The Nigeria of today is basically meant for the political class and the elite.
Not the masses.
It should.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I have to cut you. Our time is fast spent and we have to listen to sport because my team won yesterday and we are chasing Liverpool. Let's quickly go on a break and let Nero come and tell us some more on what is happening in the world of sport.